most of you guys have been with me here for a while and have been trading for, probably longer than you've been with me, can attest to the fact that the concept of keeping it simple is really where you see your best success. And I think a lot of you guys, every time I have different conversations with all of you guys, we're all going through our different journey, and we're in a different phase in our journeys. You'll always go back and look at every time you try to get too smart and you try to get too cute, as they say, you realize that's when you find, that you hit that wall, that bump in the road, and it's part of the learning process, right? But you go back to the simple stuff that we start out with, and you realize, gosh, that is simple, and that works, and why do I have to make it more difficult? When simple works, but it's our nature. We don't like simple things sometimes. We say we do, but yet our actions, reflect differently. The very first thing that we want you to understand is through the process of seeing all these things, right? There's a lot of things that are happening in your mind, and you're putting all these steps together. But the one thing that, the foundation of where we start in every trade is always recognizing what is your risk, and then you look at your reward. If you go to our profit protection system, you'll notice that in there we have you trading, at best 2 trades a day, or a session really. And the concept there is to try to make about 15 points a day. We're trying to, we feel that more often than not, the probabilities of you being able to execute 2 trades and get on an average 7 to 8 points out of each one, or a combination of thereof, you might get 5 on one, 10 on another one, you might get, 8 or 9 on one, 6, 5 on the other one. It's a combination, okay? It's not an exact science, but we feel that that is very doable. There's a high probability of that being achieved. And under the right market circumstances, we find that there are high probability trades that can give you those opportunities. They can provide those opportunities. So, we've structured everything so that when you get started, if you're patient, and that is really what we're trying to get everyone to understand in this business, those who make the best money and those who are able to sustain themselves in the long run is because they exercise patience. And patience is something that you have to develop. It's a habit you've got to create. And as many of us know, a lot of us don't have that because we live in such a culture of, give me everything fast. In this business, you can't create the market moves. You're not a market maker. And in fact, even market makers, they understand it's a timing thing. And so it's amazing sometimes how some of these trades can actually be thought of for days in advance as they're just, preparing for that, that move that they've been planning for days. To keep it very simple, before you look at anything else outside of, why did I do, because again, some of you guys had that questions, and, what was I seeing? Why did I do something? What did I see? And there's a combination of things that I see. But it all starts out with the very foundation of every trade that I take. And it's always, what am I willing to risk? Quickly, my mind is going through the process of everything that, we teach, and whole thought process. Every time we take a trade, that is basically what you've got to start thinking first. What am I willing to lose? And what are the probabilities that if I take this trade, I'm going to lose that? And the probabilities of you losing that, outweigh the desire and more importantly, the emotions of you staying level-headed, then you don't execute. You just stay out of the trade. That's a process that takes time. That's what you're learning here, and everyone, as you guys know, you all come from different walks of life, and really developing to where you can change, from what you've done in the past, which in many instances, many of you come from areas where you're not used to taking, every time you make a decision, you're in whatever it is you've done, you never really think of what is the risk that's involved. You know, you just do what you do because it's not like every decision you make, you have to weigh in that you're going to lose money. So that's part of what you're learning here. You're learning how to start thinking that way. And as you find, it's very challenging because, you know, you've got to learn something new, which is, all right, I've got to make a decision, and this decision is going to immediately reflect the outcome of me making money or losing money. And as I've said, in everything else we do in life, not that some of us are not in positions that is the case, but you don't see it happen as quickly. You know, more often than not, when you make a decision that may reflect whether you make money or not in whatever business you're in, it's something that, you know, there's a time process that you don't feel the pain as quickly as you do here in this business. So, you know, that takes time, and that's basically, you know, in a nutshell, what every trader really has to get to master that.